When the crew of the Seingreed came to, they slowly raised their heads that were lulled onto their chests. Sho found he had drool on his shirt and jacket from where his mouth was. They all took a few moments to get their bearings, each of them not knowing exactly what to say. Sho was the first one to break the silence.
We're here, I guess?
He shook his head to clear the remaining cobwebs.
Where are we?
It didn't take long for the twins to come around and get back to their duties like nothing ever happened. They both attended their stations with the fluidity and grace that came from years of training and experience. Yuri said,
I'm not receiving any positive fixes on known stars. They don't match up with our star charts.
What about the beacon? Are we still reading it?
Affirmative, but the signal is very faint. I'm still trying hails, but I'm still not getting any response. And I still can't lock onto its location.
Damage report.
Ruri said,
The drive system is damaged. Must have been from all that jolting from inside the wormhole. We have sublight and limited FTL systems, but they need to be repaired. Scanning for any inhabited planets. Wait a minute.
Yes? What is it?
There's not only an inhabitable planet, but a fairly populated one. Not only that, I'm showing signs of heavy space traffic. I'm getting evidence of heavy FTL propulsion used by the tachyon residue around here. Wherever we dropped, it seemed like this part of the galaxy is at least spacefaring, and it's possible that this planet is of a spacefaring culture. If they are, they may be able to help us out.
It's likely that the AGDS ship may have limped there if they ended up where we ended up when we emerged from the wormhole.
How long to get there?
According to my calculations, it should take a single FTL jump in 3 hours by sublight engines to make it.
Well, what are we waiting for? If we're lucky, not only can we find what we need to repair Seingreed, but maybe somebody on the planet may know what we're looking for.
Hours later, Seingreed limped into orbit around a yellowish planet. According to Ruri and Yuri, the planet was primarily desert, but there was a city with a bustling spaceport according to the scanners. Because Seingreed was so huge and wasn't designed to make planetfall, it had to remain in orbit. Fortunately, the teleporter was still working. Sho made sure his equipment was ready and got the list of supplies from Ruri.
We can't assume they'll speak English, so here's the translator.
Ruri handed him a small black box that was less than the size of his palm. He took it and slipped it into his pocket.
And don't forget the list.
Yes, Mommy. I know.
I'm serious, Sho. I'm going to teleport you a kilometer away from the spaceport. We don't know what to expect. Teleporting you right into the center of the city may cause a panic. That's the last thing we want to do since we're so desperate for assistance.
He was tempted to retort back, but he had enough on his plate without starting a fight with the hot-tempered technician. Instead, he swallowed his pride and stepped into the teleporter. He figured he'd settle up with Ruri later, though it would likely be a losing proposition, like most of their fights were. One moment, he was still aboard the Seingreed. The next, he was standing in the middle of a desert. Sand and hot air swirled around him as he shielded his eyes from the planet's twin suns.
Oh, wow.
He was glad that though it was hot, he was wearing his uniform jacket. Otherwise, he knew he would have had instant sunburn. With no time to waste, he headed toward the spaceport. The loud sounds of roaring engines, muffled by the desert sands and winds, was the first thing that greeted him as he entered the city. Also, the exotic smells of things that he couldn't readily identify assaulted his nose. He stood and wondered for a moment, trying to take in everything. There were aliens of all kinds of shapes, sizes, colors, and other various appearances. He did see some people that appeared to be human, but he knew better than to assume that they were. Sho himself was not born on Earth, but on planet Izanda. He'd known beings that looked human, but were anything but. Reining in his wandering mind, he set himself to his task. Meanwhile, a creature that resembled a reptile but walked as a human studied the newcomer as he meandered around the city. The creature looked through electric binoculars. The information that he received sized up the human, his height, weight, and any apparent weapons. Mentally, he made a comparison with the information he had received earlier when he was first hired to see what he was seeing. It was an exact match. His quarry had finally arrived. I wish all my intel was this spot on. Unbeknownst to the lizard man, Dallas Tervain, bounty hunter extraordinaire, watched Malk Seti, his lizard man rival, get ready to set up his shot. He had been briefed by Count Dooku that he would have competition for the bounty. The mysterious stranger that Dooku wanted killed also had to hit the Hutts, and they in turn sent their own assassin to deal with him. Word through the grapevine was that the assassin was only getting paid 30,000 credits for the hit. That signaled to Dallas that his competition was low rent. At first he thought about ridding himself of the competition, but then decided to see what his rival brought to the table. If their quarry was half as competent as he'd seen in the Hollow, Dallas doubted that even Malk would be enough to do the job. If Malk somehow got lucky, he would merely kill the lizard man and claim the reward for himself without having to expend any kind of effort. It was a win-win situation for him, and he loved those kinds of situations. Either way, it should be a very good show, he thought to himself, and the thought brought a smile to his face. Meanwhile, languages of all sorts of dialects that Sho had never heard of in his life flew around like bullets. His translator had trouble trying to process all the sounds in the vicinity. Right now, his focus was on a part that looked similar to a hyperspace drive converter that Seingreed needed. For all he knew, though, the part could have been part of an alien coffee maker. The translator spit out each word from the tiny creature in the brown robe with a hood that covered its face except for two bright yellow eyes. It was frustrating to Sho that the translator reacted so slowly. The hooded creature jumped up and down and gesticulated wildly. Sho couldn't tell if the creature was angry, excited, or just bargaining. A glint of light reflected off the part that Sho was examining, which he found odd. The suns had stayed in the same position the whole time he'd been talking to the little alien about the part. The hairs on the back of his neck stood up, and he felt a queasiness in his gut. He had lived with danger for far too long to ignore the feeling now. That reflection wasn't a good thing. Reacting on instinct, he dove to the ground. He wondered if he would look silly doing this in a crowd full of shoppers. When the laser blast hit where his head would have been only moments before, he felt vindicated.
Rory, I'm being shot at.
What? By who?
Gonna find that out now. Stand by.
Looked up in the direction of where the shot came from, where he saw the light of the twin suns reflecting off of a scope. He rolled out of the way of yet another shot that hit the little robed alien square in the chest, killing it.
No! Whoever this is will pay for this.
Quickly, he got to his feet and broke into a sprint, running in the direction of the tower where the shots came from. Kicking the door open, he bounded up the stairs, taking them two at a time. He had a misstep, almost falling on his face. Luckily for him, the motion saved him from catching a blaster bolt in the face. Sparks showered off of the wall from the hit. Sho turned to look at the black spot on the wall and got even angrier.
Wait till I get my hands on you.
This human is crazy! Malk had already blown what should have been a simple hit, and now he was on the run from a human who hadn't even drawn a blaster yet. But he knew better than to take his quarry lightly. He had every intention of finishing the job, but fighting in an enclosed space was stupid. Malk ran to the top of the tower, slamming the door shut behind him, knowing that there would be no real barrier between him and his quarry. He took 2 steps back and ran forward, leaping off of the tower onto an adjoining roof below. Kicking the door open, Sho was just in time to see a lizard man with a huge rifle leap off the tower and onto a roof, landing with a combat roll.
He won't evade me that easy.
Zero Chaku! Sho activated his transformation device. The tactical frame appeared around him, covering him with its armor, transforming him into his heroic alter ego, Danzaiver.